Oh man, now I gotta mix the floor tom. Dumb. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam Bilsing, this is Dirty Bandana Music, and today we're gonna talk about a particular groove out of my very first drum book, the 10/8 drum method, available now on Amazon.com and from my website, dirtybandana.com. And we're gonna be talking about number 52 from page 26. We'll put that up on the screen for you so you can see what we're doing here. Now, I chose this one because this is from chapter 2, where we're discussing the double time style of this particular 10/8 drum method. And this is a groove that shows off some of the skills that will really help you through this whole chapter. So that's why I've chosen it. The first one to think about as we break this thing down is the ride pattern. We're in double time ride patterns. So if you're not caught up, check out some of the previous videos, but a basic 10/8 groove is gonna have quintuplets in the right hand. So it'll sound like this. Fives, right? Now, when we're playing it in double time, I'm gonna remove every other beat from that ride pattern. So it's still going to be fives, but it's going to be at half the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to give us the top line ride pattern. The next thing to consider as we're looking at the parts of this groove is that there are two kick drum hits. One of them is happening with the hi-hat. One of them is happening in between the hi-hats. So just the kick drum part goes like this. So that gives you a little difference there. You get to work on the kick drum on the hi-hats and the kick drum in between the hi-hats. The next thing to think of is the ghost notes in the snare drum that are happening in this groove. There's two of them, and both of them are happening with the hi-hat hit. So for me anyway, this gives me an opportunity to work really hard on keeping the ghost note in the snare drum super quiet and low to the head, and the hi-hat note in the ride pattern the exact same volume and intensity as the rest of the hi-hat notes. And the thing that's tricky to me is getting these two to line up perfectly. So if we just play the ghost notes from 52, not the backbeat, it's gonna sound like this. Now, of course, that seems really easy by itself, but the real magic happens when we start to turn this whole thing into a groove and put all these parts together. Now, the last skill that's really important to making this groove happen is something that you probably are familiar with from a different groove altogether. This is a thing that I learned when I was learning the Purdy shuffle for the first time, which you probably recognize. The Rosanna Shuffle, Fool in the Rain, it's a bunch of different places. That's a Bernard Purdy groove. But the thing that you learn doing that is you've got a strong backbeat followed by a quiet ghost note. Now that is tricky, and it takes a lot of practice to get your fingers and your wrists happening in a way that makes that ghost note come across really quiet. And in this groove, you've got the added difficulty of the fact that the backbeat is happening in between the hi-hat hits and the ghost note is happening with the hi-hat hit. So it makes a very strange figure, and then is followed by a kick drum. So when you go to put this all together, you're gonna be utilizing like 3 or 4 particular little skills and combining them all into this groove. And these 3 or 4 things, once you've got them, should help you with pretty much everything else in this whole chapter. So let's turn on the click track, hear the groove one more time at tempo. I've got the click set up at 300 beats per minute in 5/4 time. So that's what we're up to here. It's giving me all 5 quintuplets. Let's check it out. Listen to the groove again. Take note of all the little particulate pieces that I just talked about and see how they all come together. And there you have it. Now, I also wanted to give you one variation, and it's a little tricky and a little weird with this one, but one of the variations I mentioned in this chapter is turn all the ghost notes in your snare drum into diddles. So instead of just, we're gonna hear. Now with this one, it's particularly tricky because we've got that strange backbeat followed by the ghost note. I'm not sure if I can do it at this tempo, but let's try to eke it out and see how this would sound with diddles in the ghost notes as a variation. All right, that's it for today, everybody. I hope you tried this out. Hit me in the comments below. Let me know how it went for you. Share a clip if you tried it out. I'd love to see you play this. Don't forget to pick up the book if you don't have it already, The 10/8 Drum Method, available on Amazon.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Dirty Bandana. You can get all the details for everything that I'm doing on my website at dirtybandana.com. And that's it for now. We'll see y'all next time.